that need to be followed ideologically, and anything that's different from that is a potential threat to that movement, to the quote-unquote base, and as such is maybe not now, but could become in the future an enemy. That is the position that I've been able to observe. Like in my observation, that is the position that I've been able to kind of observe as a thing, right? Because you keep hearing these people repeat very specific phrases. Even if they tell you it's nothing, when certain phrases are repeated, that is the intent, that is the ideology, that is the plan, that is the mission, that is the drive, that is the goal. Always look for repeated things. Because the consistency is where everything sticks to. That's what you want. You want things to be consistent. So if they keep harping on about the fucking tech bros and they keep repeating this over and over and over again, listen to that. Even if they tell you it's a joke, I don't believe it's a fucking joke. I don't think it's a joke at all because I've seen it in way too many places, repeated way too many times, in way too many different fucking contexts for it to be just a coincidence. Okay, these are the same people who would harp on about the fucking globalists and say that certain things that are barely connected are definitely not coincidences, even though they definitely are. This thing that is definitely not a fucking coincidence is then therefore a coincidence. Are they trying to gaslight you? Or like, do they seriously think that all of you guys are stupid? I don't think you guys are stupid. That's why I'm like taking the time out of my day to appear here for free and tell all of you people about all of the stuff that we've done just for fun, because I think it's hilarious, right? I don't think you guys are stupid. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. I mean, if I did think you were stupid, I would fucking tell you. But realistically speaking, do they think you're stupid? You should ask yourselves. Do you want to like actually be a victim of people who think you're fucking stupid in this way? I wouldn't, man. I wouldn't. That's all I'm gonna fucking say. And I have no position on this. I'm just a fucking person who yanks chains, trolls, and is a fucking annoying asshole to people because nobody else has the balls to do so. Because everybody has social connections. They're somehow connected to this person over here and to this person over there. Then they have an obligation to defend them. I don't have a fucking obligation to defend any of them. Until, of course, I somehow do because it's the right thing to do, as in somebody's being shat on unfairly. I may not know necessarily who they are, but the shitting on is unfair, and we're going to address this. But other than that, that's exactly what my purpose is. And what people don't understand that.
Why are there so many miladies in this space?
Do not ask the question. Why milady? What do you mean? That's the first thing. You don't ask the miladies, man. It's just milady. That's all that it is. Don't worry about why there's so many.
Remilio.
It's Remilio. Don't worry about it. Hi, guys.
Well, Adrian, to be fair, I've seen some very compelling evidence that you are in fact Elon Musk. For instance, you play the same video game and you said the word rocket fuel.
Milady. Yeah. Yeah, that is also one of the other clips. There was a metaphor. So I always operate on metaphors, right? Even though I don't understand why people just like, why would you talk about this? I'm like, dude, metaphors are the only way to actually tell people certain things because that's how we all operate. We all operate based on metaphors at some level. I myself have to train a lot of people things that they otherwise in their normal day-to-day environment would have never been able to learn. And so I can't really like give them my understanding unless I come up with some sort of way to look at whatever their baseline is and then to take that baseline and twist it around the thing that I understand so that they can look at it and recognize it and be like, aha, that's how it works. That is why when we teach kids how to do math, we choose various household items or fruit, because everybody has seen a bowl of oranges at some stage of their life, or at least up until this stage of their life. So you say, how many oranges has Fred been given? Okay, good. That's how much we know. Now, Mama asks, hey, Fred, can you give me like back 2 oranges? I gave you 5 oranges. Can you give me like back 2 of them? I actually need them for something else. And you ask, how many oranges does now Fred have left? You know, so metaphors, right? Doesn't matter what the fucking oranges are. Doesn't matter if they're organic or anything like that. That's what then people focus on. They then say, wait a minute, are the oranges organic? Do they have a fucking sticker on them? Are they the right shade of orange? No. No.
The oranges are racist.
No, the orange, no. You don't understand. This room has always been an orange. And to deny that, I think is personally offensive and extremely sexist and racist. We don't do gaslighting here. We do orange lighting. That is so fucking stupid. I did that yesterday in a space, and I told everybody there, that I was the smoothest brain. That I have the smoothest brain. I'm an incredibly smooth brained individual.
I keep listening to that just because of how funny it is.
It's not my fucking fault. They keep calling me the supremacist. I'm like, dude, I am literally telling you that I'm the smoothest brained person there. My brain is so fucking smooth that the wafers from TSMC have to compete with me. They're not as smooth as me, man.
Alex, you have your hand up.
Oh yeah, kind of moved past the point, but I was just gonna say, in terms of like how Elon presents his points in terms of like the trolling or the jokes or sarcasm, whatever. Personally, like I don't have a problem with it. Like when it's points that I agree with, I think it's like fucking hilarious, and like I always like them. So if I disagree with them, I feel like I'd be a hypocrite if like that's when I suddenly get triggered by the style. And to Adrian's point, I think there is effectiveness to things like memes or metaphors or things like that. Like the average person can't handle nuance, so sometimes you have to distill things down to simpler takes to push the initial combo, and then that's how you get to more nuanced and engaging combos like this one. So I don't know, I think we passed that point a while ago, but that's why I originally raised my hand.
Yes, it's I mean, we all like the trolling except when it's directed at us. And I think that's another thing. I mean, have you ever been trolled by Elon? I have. He called me his AI alter ego on a stream once. I think that's kind of funny. Does this increase problems for me? Actually, yes, a little bit. Do I think it's absolutely fucking
hate to
hilarious?
say it.
Yes.
I hate to say it, but like a lot of these guys, man, and a lot of these girls, they did not grow up in Xbox Live game chat, man.
Oh
Anything that
my
anybody
God.
can anything that anybody can say to me on Twitter, man, they have no idea, man.
The Xbox
I've already heard it
360
all.
is like mental. That's where your cognitive and operative security comes from. Because if you survive this, not turn into a serial killer or commit suicide, you have like seen everything and heard everything.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm telling you, I've played so many hours of Black Ops. My mother must have been fucked about 1,000,000 times, bro. Like it doesn't matter what. Like people have to also understand. Like if you feel like you're being trolled, and you feel like people are attacking you, there's a thing called turn off the monitor, and I implore people to do it. It's called touching grass for Gen Z. I implore
like actual
people
grass
to do it.
outside,
You can just,
not the drugs. Like we don't do weed. Like touch the actual grass itself. That's the one that we mean. The nice stuff that grows outside. That is like the thing that we also moan. That's called a lawn. Okay, not sure what's living outside of your fucking door there. If it's a bit of snow, touch the snow, man. And actually make sure to warm your hand afterwards so your hand doesn't fucking freeze off with frostbite. But yeah, touch the outside. Just touch the outside.
Yeah, and for people that grew up in the 70s, it was hug a tree, right? I implore people to do that a lot. If people are attacking you and you don't know what to do, and the first thing you want to do is lash out, just turn the screen off and walk outside, and you'll realize it doesn't matter. Like I don't understand how they don't understand that like trolling, it's fun when it's to everybody else. It's not fun when it's done to you, but if you just ignore it, it's fine. It's whatever.
Exactly. I mean, hey, if you take it seriously, it's a bit of a problem. I still remember this one thing. This is actually a very interesting situation. When Grok first came out and the AI, the AI had this roasting feature, right? So this first time people actually had the ability to allow themselves to be roasted by an AI, right? Before it would normally be at the hands of a jailbreak that you'd be able to get the thing to be schizophrenic. But in this case, it was actually a built-in function. Fun mode, roast this profile. It's a huge thing back in the day, right? Everybody did it, engagement farmed with it, but it was kind of funny. And the AI, I told them, hey, can you roast me with this thing? I proceeded to do so. And it basically told me the exact fucking thing. It said that my entire presence on the platform is absolutely fucking meaningless, and you should go outside and touch grass some more. And I was like, all right. I actually did go outside and touch some grass after that. I was like, cool, I'll take that and reconsider some stuff, because I think that was actually a very interesting point. There were some points made by the fucking machine that I actually felt were kind of constructive, and that did lead to a change, which was very good. Meanwhile, somebody else got roasted. I'm not going to name his name. Somebody else got roasted on the same level, but in a different way. Dude, motherfucker cried. He left the space. So it goes to show, if you feel like you're being attacked, see if the attack is serious. And if it's just trolling, don't take it seriously. And if you don't want to, but if you could, and it's sustainable to do so, troll back. You know, that's like what I did. I understood that these people were like fools and liars on a space, so I went there and I trolled. Also, for the people who say that Keith Woods cooked us, he didn't. I was doing a lot of holding back. I was just waiting for points to come out. I wanted to have data. Fucking Auda had to hold me back. That's really what was happening. There was no cooking that was happening here. We were cooking in a different way. We were stewing.
Yeah, I was waiting for I was waiting for him to just say one thing, and I tried to bait him into it, and he didn't say it.
No, I know. He knew exactly what he was doing there. I mean, to his credit, you don't go into a space like that with somebody who like tried to shit on everyone yesterday, going, this guy is definitely not going to try and fuck us. Yeah, nah. When I go into any space like that, I assume that people will try to fuck me somehow. And he went into this space assuming correctly that someone was going to try and fuck him some way as well. To his credit, man. To his credit. Nice. Oh.
Doge is hiring.
What?
Doge.
Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, they're hiring.
Oh, they're hiring. All right, right, yeah. By the way, nice one. Auda.
Yeah, I'm adding someone.
Cool.
Hey there.
Hey guys, thank you so much for giving me the honor to speak with you guys. So I run a group called Hindus for America First. We're a small pack. We recruited many Indian Americans, Hindu Americans in the battleground states and got them to vote for President Trump. We were able to bring about a 40% increase of the Indian American vote from 22% to 31%. Many of them are ex-Democrats, first-time voters, newly naturalized voters. And everything was going pretty well. Everyone loved Sri Krishna, and everyone was very thrilled with just every single pick. Doge, the work that Elon was doing, the Indian American community was just very, very ecstatic. And people be trolling, whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter. The thing that really got to the Indian community, which was this vitriol and calls for rounding up people, calls for executions, and to hear that come from people who are gripers that are adjacent to MAGA, people, the new voters, they just didn't know these fine differences, these cleavages, and there's a lot of explanations that were needed and critical. And unfortunately, there's not enough voter education on these subgroups, and they've been misunderstanding who's their friend, who's their foe. And the Democrats have been exploiting this, and I've been trying to provide as much education as possible. And if Elon, ever hears me at some point in the future, I would just love to mention to him he's a great man, and a lot of people in the Indian community really respect him, appreciate him tremendously. But they're feeling very soured right now.
The same thing happened with the Muslim community in the United States before 9/11. The majority of Muslims in the United States actually voted for Republicans. And after 9/11, kind of the same thing that's happening with Indians today happened, and now it's now moving. It's now majority Democrat voters because of the kind of harassment that they faced from a lot of the more extreme sides of the Republican base.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And this is obviously going to take its course, its time. Things fizzle out and whatnot. But I just feel like any kind of positive statement from leadership that just says like, whatever was said, it's dumb, it's trolly, people didn't mean that. We stand with the Indian American community, just to give them some hope, because I see these Democrats acting like complete vultures right now, and they are taking advantage of this situation, sir.
By the way, I gotta ask you, you left a bunch of replies saying that he did not, Sriram did not, actually, how do you pronounce his name correctly, since, I assume you're of Indian origin. How do you pronounce his name correctly?
Yes, sir. His name is Sriram Krishnan.
Sriram. Okay, good. Sriram. You said that he
We've been
didn't donate.
pronouncing it wrong.
Hmm?
We've been pronouncing it wrong. God
Yeah,
damn it.
exactly. That's what I was doing. I was looking at the S, so I was like, that's got to be a it's like with the people that keep calling him Srinivas. I think it's like Srinivas, actually, with Aravind. So
Right.
yeah, that's why I keep doing that, and people think I'm crazy, but I'm like, actually, that's supposed to be how it's pronounced. Anyways, did he did not donate to Kamala Harris? You were left that in replies a bunch of times.
No, sir.
No, he didn't. They're not even accusing him of donating to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
He don't, apparently, according to Laura Loomer, he donated to some politician that was like $5,000 to some politicians that was advocating for the impeachment of Trump or something.
No, there was a credible allegation that he had donated to Kamala Harris, and a guest on the panel had repeated that. And I just needed to be, corrected for the record. He has never donated to Kamala Harris once or ever, frankly speaking. And I really respect him, and don't want his character to be impeached.
What about the thing that Laura Loomer was saying, where he apparently not voted, but he donated to some other politician?
Yeah, he contributed to Congressman Rokhanna, and Rokhanna is a Democrat from the Bay Area, as you all know. He's a populist. He's very MAGA friendly, and he's surprisingly supportive of some of President Trump's initiatives, which is very, very good.
But that's not what Laura Loomer was claiming. Laura Loomer was claiming that he donated to someone that was advocating for the impeachment of Trump.
Yeah, Rokhanna had, I believe, argued for that impeachment, or unfortunately speaking, which is, lousy that he did. But there was also the allegation that he had contributed to Kamala, and he didn't. But I've been like trying to defend him really hard, because people are questioning, this dual loyalties business. They're saying he's an Indian spy, he's in RAW, and I'm just like, guys, there's no evidence of this. This is terrible. Like, we're trying to beat the Chinese here on the AI race. We need the best minds possible. And as someone who supports legal immigration very enthusiastically, it is really, really hard right now. Like, I see China as the new Soviet Union. If we don't beat them, we're going to be impoverished. We're going to be economically non-competitive, and we're not going to be able to actually take them on. I mean, I'm just very worried about what they just put out with respect to their AI. They're doing it for less than the cost of this GPT-4 and it apparently processes faster, and it's just alarming. And we can't screw around here. And when the decision was made to select this very nice gentleman, I was thinking, well, this is what the national security interest of the United States is. We need men like him, or women, or women, who can basically do this job very well. And we should think of the nation first, not this nativist stuff. And I don't understand how it just got into this vitriol and hatred. It's sickening. And then to see that happen to Vivek, who's a friend of mine and someone I profoundly respect, is also very sad.
I just wanted to make one quick point that if he was hired, in this position, and obviously we all know that Elon's working on Grok, and based on just what I know, Grok 3 is supposed to be more powerful than ChatGPT's O1 based on what they have in Colossal, wouldn't Trump have asked Elon if this was the right guy to put in the position? Just theoretically speaking. And I'm not, that's not pillow talk. That's just me saying, like, why wouldn't I ask the guy who's the expert who's standing next to me versus the guy who, I'm just going to randomly pick him because, some guy on, 7th Street decided to tell me that. I truly believe that he asked Elon. Elon said, here is 5 picks. He said, here's 3, here's 2. And maybe that's why Elon spent so much time there, because Elon knows how powerful AI is. And if you looked at how Grok, from beta to 1, 2 to, this is like 2 I would say like 2.8. Would you say that it's become such a crazy powerful tool? You would. And if you saw how fast they built Colossus in Memphis, you would see that your point is correct. We're trying to beat China, right? Like, I'm not going to say that we're not. There's always an arms race, or who's the best in technology throughout every country, no matter what. And if we want to beat them, hiring the smartest person and the best in their merit and the best at what they do, and having an advisor who owns the biggest AI, cluster in America is probably the smartest thing to do. And if you believe in Trump and you believe he's the smartest person and the right person for the job, don't you think he would just ask Elon Musk, the richest, smartest man of our, of our time?
By the way, I just
Just
looked at
logically speaking.
By the way, I just looked at Rokana's stance on, Doge, and he's all for it, right? So that's a good sign. The impeachment thing that happened in 2021, so January 6th, that was where that came from. And yeah, that's just the extent of that. That's the only thing I could actually find. So historically, yeah, sure, there has been opposition, but I mean, I didn't see anything that's
You're allowed to
notable.
change your
That's just
mind.
like an associate. Like, this is a very loose association, because if you look at that, it's just a person that's like, okay, he advocates for a particular side. But even Rokana, who's like somehow then supposed to be linked here to Sriram, that's fucking okay. That's it. That's everything. So I think to an extent, what Laura Loomer did was hype up what is a technicality, but more so a semi-transparent nothing burger.
To Elon Musk, and I've said this over again, because he and I have a lot of disagreements, and particularly on transhumanism and the CCP. But
talking about Indians raping and this stuff about waters from will not say what the
I will say Laura Loomer is extremely obsessed with like who supported Trump from the beginning. If you were like not supporting Trump from like the first second, you don't belong. She has this viewpoint. You're not OG MAGA, as she says.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing that is, a bit troubling is like the idea that, Indian Americans are not loyal to the union. And we're getting this dual nationality, dual loyalties comment. It's very similar to what Catholics have gone through when they were unfairly questioned for having loyalties to the Pope, or Jewish Americans who are unfairly accused of being loyal to Israel. Indian Americans are going through the same discrimination. It's on a systematic level. I'm sorry to mention this gentleman's name, but Nick Fuentes and his ilk have been pushing this very, very aggressively. People are getting bullied in school. People are getting looked at differently nowadays. I'm not trying to, unnecessarily add to more of this controversy here, but it is something that people in the community have asked me to share with you, and they are very, very paranoid and scared because they're well-meaning people. They love America. They pay taxes. They participate in the communities. They really love President Trump dearly, and they just want to do the right thing and defeat the enemies of the United States, which includes communist China. And they just want to be known that, like, look, they love this country. And yes, they may have a religion that is not the same as the Abrahamic religions, the great Abrahamic religions, but America has a long history dharmic traditions and practices going back to early 1900. You know, the first Hindu temple was in San Francisco, built in the early 1900, actually, I believe 1909. You know, we're just honest working people, and the rhetoric we're seeing or listening to is very reminiscent to the kind of stuff that was peddled during Idi Amin. And again, this is just like localized to social media. It's not a big deal, of course, but this stuff can get out of hand, as you know.
Yeah.
Can you explain why do you think the dual loyalty claim is unfair? Like, are you saying, first of all, I hear you saying a lot of anti-Chinese things, so that kind of already concerns me, but you're saying that it's unfair to accuse Indians or Catholics or Jews of dual loyalty, but it sounds like you would accuse Chinese people of the same thing. And even if you don't, I don't see any reason why you would say in general that idea is unfair. I'm sure there's people with dual loyalty out there.
Yeah, so I love the people of China. I have no problem with Chinese people. I'm specifically referencing the People's Republic of China, and I'm specifically referring to the government. As a geopolitical rival of the United States, I do not mean that in any offensive way. The other thing with respect to dual loyalties is because the Indian community, statistically speaking, and it has been polled, they are very much ingrained with the land. They are very much, you know, they got very high approval ratings of the United States government, of the country. They are very active in civic life. And they settle roots very hard and very well. They put a lot of money into the Hindu temple network in the United States of America, which is, you know, very strong proof of you know, their desire to stay in America and build in their communities. They have, you know, one of the most they spend a lot of money on philanthropy to benefit their communities. And I think it's just unfair based on the statistics, the data, and the history of the Indians in America, and the vitriol that has been, you know, thrown by Nick Fuentes and other individuals. It has caused a panic, and it has caused people to just, you know, hate them. And my concern is this spreads, you know, to other individuals that President Trump has nominated. And my concern is how to help President Trump succeed and not see his nominees get attacked by grippers, fascists, and other elements that are seeking to undermine the president-elect's agenda. That's all where I'm coming from.
I think with India, there's a few concerns that people generally have. One of which I think, if you talk to a lot of people, they will say that a lot of times what happens is that when like certain you know, Indian people come into positions of power over a company, they start hiring more and more Indian people as opposed to just viewing it as a meritocracy, and they start favoring their own. And that is one of the, I think, criticisms that has a lot of people worried. It's that a lot of people, they start bringing their own as opposed to just hiring the best for the job.
Yeah, by the way, if you look at the top remittances in the United States, China and India are number 2 and 3 top remittances in the United States, tens of billions of dollars per year. And to your point, Utsav, there is an issue with geopolitical issues between the government of the United States and China, but the government of India is also aligning itself with China through the BRICS alliance. So I really don't understand the notion that it would be unfair for people to be suspicious of dual loyalties. Like, this is my big concern over the past few days in general, is I think there is a large extent to which the right wing, with legitimate ideas like non-racist America first ideas, non-racist ideas of people that need to actually exhibit American values, are the ones that we need in America, and so on. If those people are suspicious of dual loyalties, whether you're Indian or Chinese or Jewish or Catholic or whatever, that seems perfectly legitimate to me. And I just don't want to toss that in with the racism that is happening, because I don't think it's the same thing.
Yeah, to address your point, John, the fact of the matter is the polls do not indicate that Indian Americans have this intense desire to betray the United States or even fall in this lens. The statistics about such, deception and incidents are very, very low. The other fact of the matter is that it is true that India is in BRICS. However, India has been a tremendous champion for the preservation of dollar hegemony, and they have been very insistent on the preservation of the US dollar globally. This is a country that has liberalized its economy. Prime Minister Modi, a great friend of Elon Musk, so I hear, is very, very pro-America, one of the most pro-American leaders India's ever had. He has signed up his country to multiple defense cooperation agreements with the United States. He has escalated his ties with respect to Quad. He has provided quite a lot of intelligence, from what I hear, even naval support to our government in America. And the fact of the matter is that I just happen to think that given the, I would say, pretty pro-Western stance of the government of India, notwithstanding their relationship with Russia, notwithstanding their recent border agreements with China as a means to preserve their existence, especially in the Northeast where they're getting a lot of problems, they have generally been pretty pro-United States with their tilt. And I just don't see them being in the same camp as other competitors. Now, I am very optimistic that President Trump will absolutely repair the relationship between America and China. I'm very optimistic. I really believe in him. I know Elbridge Colby, for example, he's a great man. He will absolutely strengthen those ties between America and China, and I know that we can get back on the right track. And my only concern is that these attacks on Indian origin people for having dual loyalties is just doesn't bear out with the statistics, the incidents, the polling numbers, and so on. And the community does feel scapegoated overall, and it's just wrong.
So,
hold on, wait.
first of all,
Before that, could you also address my point?
Can you please remind me your point, sir?
So my point was that a lot of one of the concerns that a lot of people have with a lot of what this is something that people have experienced, this is something that they've seen, is that a lot of times when Indians come into their positions of power, because they have this tight-knit community, they end up favoring their own whenever they're looking to hire more employees, and it ends up happening that instead of being a meritocracy where the best person for the job gets the job, they end up preferring to hire more Indian people.
Yeah, so there have been cases of that happening. I acknowledge that. And there have been many, many more cases of that not happening. And the way the rhetoric has been put across on social media has been that Indian Americans only hire their own, and that they have done this the vast majority of the time or exclusively. And there's also been this argument that they're the only community with in-group preference, which is not true. And again, these are attacks on the Indian community that are just not, again, the statistics don't bear out. And it, again, is causing all kinds of stigma to a community that is so small and, contributes a lot to our tax revenue. 6% of our total tax revenue comes from this community of 1.5%. It's nearly 17% of our physicians, 8% of our tech workers, and this is a community that gives a lot, back to charity.
So,
and go ahead.
What data exactly do you have that this is something that's not happening? Because just going off of anecdote here. Anyone I know in tech, in my own personal life, with what my family does, and a lot of other people, this seems to be more common than is not. So, like, I am curious, like, what data exactly you have that this is not happening, because
Sure,
anecdotally, this seems to be more common than it is not.
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, I can also attest to the fact that you'll see that occur probably in hospitality sector, the culinary sector, where there's a desire for a specialty chef, someone that knows the local languages in local dialects, which is a big deal in the restaurant business. Um, but overall, when you look at white collar industries like finance, commerce, banking, insurance, law, you will not see that as much, and there'll be greater variation simply because um, they there's just not a big need. I don't deny that there might be in-group preference, there might be biases. I don't deny of very infamous cases of such, but it is very slim. And the data that I have reviewed comes from just publicly available reports and reviews of what kind of visas have been sponsored, what kind of individuals have been hired, and I'm able to figure out just based on their names, nationality, and I've been able to just gather up these statistics, and it is not this does not happen on a wide scale level. Certainly, it has happened, I think, in realms in the tech industry. I think that has happened, but there's been action against, I believe, those companies for such action, and there's been lessons learned from that, which is very positive and good.
So I'm just kind of curious. First of all, thanks for being up here. And yeah, I agree with you. All this racism and everything. First of all, it's intolerable. But second, it just really muddied the waters. Because there is an interesting conversation to be had here. Are you born in U.S. or just naturalized?
I'm originally born in Canada.
Real quick, everybody, give me 1 second. So anyway, real quick, we're just listening to this stream, and what I'm doing on the stream is, hang on 2 seconds, let me just balance the picture. I hate unbalanced picture. So anyway, just streaming this live Twitter space. It's an interesting Twitter space. I think it's an important Twitter space that's happening right now because it really shows a divide in the civil war happening right now. But it's also a funny Twitter space because Elon Musk is allegedly the Adrian. Let me see if I can highlight him really quickly. The Adrian Bittman. This guy. This is supposed to be Elon Musk. Now, from all the audio that I've heard, it sounds exactly like Elon Musk, which is really kind of funny and also simultaneously like unnecessary. Just do this from your main account. You're not fooling anybody. But what's going on is an argument over the H-1B visas and whether or not Doge and Swami Elon Musk are going to be able to. Let me make sure my microphone is on while I'm talking. Your audio is gating out pretty bad, Ben. Okay. All right. So then let me pause and figure out what's going on with my audio, and we'll get back to let's let them talk. I don't want to really miss anything. Give you a chance to hear them.
Well, I mean, heck, that skill better be so darn specialized that no one else can do it. And so I lean towards the restrictionists simply because I know that the people of America are suffering right now. They're hurting, and we're not in this climate to have any discussions on more immigration. And I respect the sentiments of the population.
Okay, sorry, super quick.
No.
So for that specific question, no, I would say the American company, for its own survival, should have probably hired the H-1B, given they'll get a senior for a cheaper experience. However, with the rest you said, I do agree, and that's what I was gonna get to. That the only way you allow recent grads, because seniors that already been in the industry, including that senior H-1B who spent 3 years and grew and got here and so forth, they're not going to come back to it and say, hey, okay, put me back on this entry level salary. So from that perspective, you do, like you said, you need restrictions and so forth. The question becomes, how do you do those restrictions that are fair? So what would in your mind be the approach here?
Yeah, it's a very good question. The way I'd approach it is very simple, which is, again, I would take a very tough stance on legal immigration, not because I'm cruel, but because the American worker is hurting. And President Trump received a mandate by the American people to take care of the worker first. Republican Party has become a very pro-workers party nowadays. And I respect President Trump and what he desires from the countrymen. And I would say that this fella who's got this visa might have a very tough time. And it's unfortunate for him or her. Maybe they'll find an employer that can help them out. Maybe they can switch visa categories. I would, in an ideal world, love it if we could get rid of H-1Bs and L-1s and all of these fancy visas. Get rid of, this NAFTA visa. I'm using the old terminology. I wish we could have a point system like Canada or Australia, and maybe have a value system like Switzerland, where we test to see if you're congruent to the country's values, and then have Israeli extreme style vetting to make sure we don't have terrorists, terror suspects, any bad hombres in our country. And national security should always come ahead of all concerns, because we need to protect the homeland. And I recall in the election, we had 99 people on the terror watch list who were released back into the homeland under Biden-Harris, and that was unacceptable. We need to protect America.
Yeah,
so your point is from the current levels, your point is to restrict even further, I guess, is what I understood.
My overall approach is to have a system that is efficient, very, very pro-business, but is restricted and restrained, and that prioritizes the worker. So for the business, it's easy for paperwork, it's seamless. The employee has the ability to switch jobs seamlessly. There's a lot of mobility, but we're not going to allow a lot of folks into the country for these jobs. We want to reduce it. We want to bring it down. We want to prioritize the American worker, put the American worker first. They're hurting, they're pissed, and rightfully so.
Right. So, two things. First,